In this video, we're going to be talking about an advanced testing feature called evaluations. Let's go ahead and get started. So you can see here that I have a workflow, and just for some context, this workflow is meant to analyze a comment and determine whether or not that comment is spam. It's going to be primarily used in an application that we're building, but we want some AI processing in order to automatically moderate comments when they're posted. You can see here that I have a generate text block, and this block is feeding in the content that's being passed through via a launch variable. And then in the system prompt, I've given it some general guidelines in terms of the types of posts that would be in violation of our community guidelines. So here's some examples of violating posts and examples of non-violating posts. So this is something that we could test manually simply by using the preview and running it in the debugger. And we can include some content and a comment and run it. But this is not really an efficient way to test out something like this because there's going to be hundreds of different use cases, and we don't want to have to press this button hundreds of times. You can see here that in this specific example, it output true, and it gave us the flag for the type of violation. So let's say we wanted to test out many different test cases. Well, we can use the evaluations tool in order to do that. You'll notice here at the top there is this evaluations tab, and this is going to allow us to create or generate several different test cases at once. You can create a new test case manually by clicking on New Test Case, and you can also auto-generate the test cases via AI. I'm going to go ahead and auto-generate, and here it's going to give you the workflow description, and you can provide additional context about the test cases that you'd like to generate. I'm going to say something like generate 5 test cases that are in violation of our guidelines. And then we can determine the number of cases to generate. So in this case, we are going to generate 5 test cases. When we click on the generate button, this is going to utilize AI in order to generate each of these test cases. So you can see here that we have 5 different launch variables with different types of comments that would be in violation of our community guidelines. We can also determine an expected result. We can type this in, and you can see here that for each of these, we should be expecting this to be the returned result from the AI agent run. Now we can actually run all of these at the same time. We can simply click on Run All, and then it will test the result against the expected result and then give you either a red or a green indicator to determine whether or not this is matching the expected result. So you can see here that all of these are indeed matching. If we look inside of the debugger, we can also see that each of these are inside of the debugger, so we can check out each of these runs individually if we'd like to. It's essentially just running all of these test cases at the same time. And some test cases might take longer or shorter to run depending on the test case that is running. So let's go ahead and we're going to stop running these test cases, and let's go ahead and generate a few more. In this case, we're going to generate test cases that are, let's say, not in violation of our guidelines. So let's go ahead and generate 5 that are not in violation of our guidelines. And again, it should take just a few seconds, but you can see how this is a much more efficient way to actually test all of these out. Now, if they are not in violation of the guidelines, we should be seeing that result match the expected result, which should, we can type this in ourselves, look something like this. Is spam, and that value will be false. And then we can type in another case, and we can include flags, and in this case, the array will be empty. So we can go ahead and copy and paste these into all of these that should pass our community guidelines. And then we can go ahead and run them all one more time, or we can just run them individually by hovering over the left-hand side and pressing the play button. So now you can see this new run, and we have the correct value here. We move on to the ones that are not in violation, which should output this for each of these. We can also run all of these individually, and we can test them all at the same time. So we can run them all one more time, and all of these should be coming up green because they're all passing our test case expected result. Now let's say there are some more ambiguity. You could also change the expected result to be a literal match to a fuzzy match, in which case it will find whether it generally matches or not. So imagine if we had a reason for the flag other than just the flag itself. That reason might be different, a little different each time, but with a fuzzy match, it would also appear as true. In this case, we don't have that. And when we start running all of these test cases at the same time, we should be able to see that all of these will indeed match. So that is evaluations. Hopefully you learned something valuable about how you can create many test cases and test them out in bulk. If you like this video, feel free to drop us a like. If you have questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.